and welcome to episode 100.1 about a unicorn. Well, we ended off last session kind of with the limbo whether or not Osman will be able to make it today. We now know that he can't, so we impromptued a Rufen solo session, which kind of fits because the last session ended with you walking away from the camp.
Indeed. Reuven, a head full of just dark, confused thoughts, just walked off.
Yeah. And with you walking away, we begin. You are in this weird forest. It looks different than the surrounding forest. It's like tucked in between these hilly mountains and the rocky mountains and the swamp and the spidery forest or silkwormy forests, who knows. You never went there to find out what's going on there, so.
True, yeah.
But this place here, outside of the accident with the owlbear, seems to be rather safe. And you walking into the forest after a shit night and a shit morning, you quickly pick up on the signs. You are a ranger. As a ranger, you notice some things. The forest is your land, so even more. You're an elf, so everything is stacked up for you to quickly notice that this forest indeed seems to be guarded by a unicorn. Or more than one unicorn? Hard to say. You as an elf, you have like some understanding about what unicorns do. They usually have like a area that they guard, that is their territory, where they enforce to a limited extent. They enforce good behavior. So if there are things in here that are messing about, they would quickly catch the ire of the unicorn and probably be driven out. How that works together with owlbears, something that remains to be up in the air. Could, in theory, owlbears could be on a unicorn's kill list, but well, they weren't.
Yeah,
What
seemingly.
to do?
Well, that is the question of what is Reuven doing? I believe at this moment, as he's just walked off, his hood put above himself, covering his face and hair, melding into the leaves, the tree trunks, and the grasses of the forest. He fully elven shifts and just walks, fully at first aimlessly, without any real idea, and instead a lot of indecision and no coherent plan. As maybe at first he felt when he came with the party here that the unicorn was the plan, to come here and ask it questions, but after having a quite a terrible morning and night, as he said, he is absolutely gutted at the moment. His mind is filled with images of those owl bears, the two adult ones and the three kids. The adult owl bear images in his mind slightly distort and become large hobgoblins at times, angrily growling at him. and the tiny, almost cute owlbears turning to a visage of goblin children, the ones he saw, afraid of him, that he let ran the first time he marched into the goblin woods and terrorized their village. And his whole plan, whole goal, with at least a first smaller goal, to come here to this forest to find a unicorn, a being that might just be able to point him in a right direction, or give him some guidance that he hasn't been able to think of himself, apparently is up in flames, as he is truly confused. He even feels as though, if this unicorn let these owlbears live here, has he made a mistake? Has he made a mistake in killing them? Is the act of killing them an evil act now, or is it not? All in all, Reuben is truly and utterly confused. And so he walks aimlessly into the forest.
What are you looking for? Is there anything that would actively grab you out of your brooding, or does something need to happen?
He is, I think, something interesting to him, at least. So, and not something he wouldn't normally see in a forest like this, or even just a normal forest. So if you see something that is abnormal in a normal forest, maybe normal here, but he wouldn't know. He would probably react, though his mind is wrecked in chaos. Those many years of adventuring he remembers, and probably many more years of adventuring he doesn't remember, in the dream world, in the vibrant dream, has given him quite a good subconscious ability to just be aware of his surroundings.
Yeah, also you are in must be at least like somewhat elven, the forest, you know. If there's a unicorn here, that has a meaning, right? Unicorns don't live in random forests. So this is somewhat home to you. We are probably safe against most random things that lurch in these forests. So if anything would spot you, that would definitely be something that would also stick out to you.
Yeah.
And as you wander away for the first like half an hour or so, there is nothing interesting apart from these markings you see. As I said, you quickly notice that this forest is indeed inhabited by a unicorn or a family of unicorns. And unicorns have this tendency of leaving behind like small sylvan runes etched into like rocks or trees, which you can pick up. A non-elf would probably not pick up on this. There, in theory, could be other sylvan creatures that would pick up on this, so maybe some pixies or sprites. But yeah.
All right, but these
you
seem
notice these things, yeah. And they seem to be old, but not like overgrown or anything. So might be the ones you see are not like made today or yesterday, but they're also not made like 20 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, I think maybe if he sees multiple, going just in this totally random, chaotic path of turning right and left at random trees, eventually finding maybe one or more of these sigils, he'll just
Also, like as you like start to like slowly shift back to a more in-world mind frame,
yeah.
you realize that you did not walk on a random path as much as you would expect. You are very clearly heading deeper into the forest.
I think in this moment, Reuven would his conscious mind would just let happen whatever seemingly was happening already, and just kind of pulls back slightly. Still somewhat confused, but just breathing in this air of truly good for truly naturey forest, what he would probably feel most connected to. He tries to, or somewhat calms himself. Still just kind of feeling hurt by himself and the outside world, closes himself off slightly and just walks subconsciously.
Yeah. You know, like from letting your subconsciousness guide you for the forest, there's like still this like conscious thought of this forest is only so big. If you continue walking aimlessly, you will probably at some point wander out the other side, which maybe you want to. Right now you're probably heading northwards, so you will be heading towards the swampland. It's maybe like an hour and a half or 2 hours away from where you are. It's like your estimate.
I think for now, in his current chaotic mindset, he just leaves that as an afterthought and just thinks, I'll think about it when I get there. So he doesn't really even mind just going straight through the forest. That happens.
Can you roll me a d20?
Rolling a 1d20 at 2.
A 2. At some point I will most definitely learn what it means before I check it, but for now I still have to check it. Alright. You wander, and you've been away from your party members, like walking for 2.5 hours by now. And as it so happens, you reach the edge of the forest on the other side and see in front of you like this swampy land. And as you arrive here, you look around a bit and you see to your side, maybe half a mile to the east of you, there's a river that is like watering into the swamplands here, that comes out of the forest.
Okay. Though he doesn't see any obvious, at least large creatures or anything of such.
Give me a perception check.
Okay. 17 failure.
17. Yeah, no, like at least right in front of you, there's only a small chance that you see something. Could be like large enough that it is so obvious that you still see it. You know,
Okay.
the green dragon that is like lurking around here might be visible to you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Bum, bum, bum. Ooh. You know what? The reason why your perception check is so bad is as you step out of the forest, like you approach the swampland, and it's like rolling downhill from here, all the way down to the coast. You're like behind you is like the mountains, all to all sides of you. It's kind of hilly region, and in front of you there's like swampland that just goes for miles, and about a mile away from you. It's not probably be too much danger to you here, right? Is this large reddish creature with many heads that is like slurking through the swamp here. It's not walking in your direction, probably. But still, this is a type of creature you've never seen before. It's like these, like size-wise, about the size of these giant lizards you have fought before. But it's not only like very long, it's also tall. And it has, as you look at it from the distance, 8 heads.
Ooh. That's quite spooky. But it seems like if... I think he spots that probably and focuses on that. And like the image of that and this big overview of this new terrain probably somewhat knocks him out of this state he was in. This state of confusion and unknowingness that he had just been probably reveling in for the past 2 hours or so. So I imagine he maybe didn't sort out his thoughts, but allowed his mind to calm. His shaking fingers from attacking owlbear babies shake no more. And he just stands there, frozen for a moment as his fragile balance collapses and he's back again, fully in his mind.
This land, after all, is still dangerous.
Yeah. Very much reminded by this large creature. Those fire lizards might not seem too dangerous, but one even like a weak one fucked up Oliver quite good. Though he wasn't wearing his armor, but those things aren't to mess with. And if that's one creature similar that has 8 heads, who knows what he could do? Breathe 8 times as much fire?
Maybe.
So, yeah.
Also 8 mouths that could all bite.
I think he's pulled away from that state and immediately focuses himself and like takes a quick dart to the tree line and hides behind a tree almost immediately. But
do you watch the creature?
I think he does for a couple of minutes.
Yeah. The creature is like slowly like wobbling away. It doesn't seem to be the most nimble of creatures. It's like heading somewhere. It seems like it has a direction in mind, although there's nothing that would make sense to you. It's not following the river. It's not like going like somewhere where you see something else. It's just like slowly walking northwest.
Okay.
Splishing through the swamp. You can see that the Hydra Okay.
Eight lizard.
The eight-headed creature
Yeah,
that you have never seen before, that you have no idea what it is.
never.
Um, it's like sinking into the ground. Like you see, like the legs come up and then it sinks into the ground for maybe up to its like the belly like sinks into the water. So if it's like 15 feet tall, then the water, like where the creature is walking around, must be like 3 feet deep or 4 feet deep at points. The creature is wobbling through the swamp. It does not really care about the height of the water. It's like way too tall to give a fuck. Way too strong to mind any swampy or any thing that, like, in theory somebody else could get stuck in the swamp, but the creature's just like slowly waddling.
Yeah, I think this image of feet getting into water kind of pulls him to not only look at the creature but this entire area, because again, Reuven has never seen a swamp before, at
No,
least that he remembers.
there are no swamps in the elven forest, and there is no swamp in the human kingdom.
So he fully no longer focusing on this eight-headed lizard. He just looks at this new, again, a new biome.
Yeah, which you quickly, like, looking over it, it seems like still there's not much going on. You see like these large puddles of water, and like at, at most reminds you of this weird area in the dark forest where you fought the group of orcs at one time. Now you found
Yeah.
the orc encampment. Was a bit swampy, but here it's just going like forever in all directions, not stopping. Like these large puddles of water that span, like, as you look over it, like must be like a mile wide. Traveling through here on foot might actually be a challenge. Looking at the depth of the water, as you can see, like the hydro is waddling away. The eight-headed creature whose name you don't know, is like sinking 3-4 feet deep into the water. That's like almost up to your chin, right?
Yeah.
Oliver in his plate armor. I mean, he's
Getting
strong
wrecked.
with his enchantments, but other than this, could be like really tricky. There's like these elevated areas where you can see like trees and like large shrubberies, some like really large shrubs, way larger than you would expect. But then again, what to expect from a land that you've never seen, right?
Yeah. Totally unknown biome.
Yeah, maybe there's like something underneath these shrubs, and they're basically just growing over something, and that's why they're so big. The trees have like these tall roots that you like can see like the like a hand sticking into the ground, like the roots coming up from the water, whatever that means. Like, could be anything. There's many places. Just looking over here, if any creature were to try to hide, that's so easy here. Getting ambushed, like you just thinking about like you're like trying to sneak around here. If you are on a land area with like these large shrubs and these trees, hiding on these island type land fills here, super easy.
Reuven definitely takes this all in, takes the time needed to somewhat analyze it, putting it into this perspective of traveling through it as adventurers looking through stuff, this seems like it's going to be quite difficult.
Yeah.
He
You notice as you like stand here and like contemplate about the area that a kitty has jumped out of your coat and is like walking towards the first puddle in front of you. It's like 30 feet away from you as you notice that she's walked away. Probably going for a swim.
Reuven gives a low whistle to her to indicate, like, be careful. But he lets her go for a moment, telling her not to go too far.
Yeah. You can see her like walk a bit further and then standing like on the edge of this large puddle that fills the area, and she like pats it with her paw and then like sniffs on her paw or like licks her paw and then like turns around and walks back to you. And coming closer to you, she says, "Stinky."
Oh.
No like. Can go back.
Yes. He crouches down, takes Kitty into his arms, and puts his forehead to hers. And I am quite confused by everything. But you have always been there for me. And puts it down. He'll probably go and take a sniff of the water as well, just to be aware.
Yeah, actually, as she like noticed that it's stinky, you take a moment to like focus on the smell of the area, and it is a bit stinky here. Just the air already. There's like this sulfuric smell that's coming like from somewhere. It's not strong, but it's there. It's like the smell of like dead fish.
Ooh, yeah.
Floating over the plains here. Yeah. And it's like this like weird, like in between that you are here, between like this very lush, nice forest behind you, this weird area in front of you, this kind of awkward smell, and then you also hear like the blubbering of the river to your side, and looking over your shoulder, the large black cloud in the sky. Like this is a bit of a surreal environment that you found yourself here.
Yeah, exactly. From those thoughts of looking at the stinky water area to behind him this luscious greenery of seemingly almost elven woods. It does give him some sort of perspective.
You quickly, now that you're here at the edge of the swamp, like you quickly let your gaze wander over the swampland in the distance, and you like kind of try to figure out where you're heading, right? Because you're kind of heading to a place which would be north west of here, and you can see like the swampy land like continuing, must be going slightly downhill into the ocean.
But he sees no buildings, no ruins.
No, nothing. Just swamp.
Difficult. But I think Reuven feels as though he, by himself, can do no much more. He'll probably have to be with his party.
Mm-hmm.
to see how they continue on from here.
Yeah.
And I think he'll turning his back to the swamp and walking back into these weirdly elven woods.
Mm-hmm. You head back
And
into the woods. Do you go to the river? Do you follow the river, or do you just wander back inside?
I think he'll, for a time, go with the river. Yeah.
So you head over a bit and then follow the river into the forest. Like, judging from the direction it takes, it's probably going like somewhere into the forest, more or less straight southwards. That's like what the river's indicating, and you can see it like for quite a while before it bends behind trees. Rather straight here at this point.
I think he'll walk beside the river, still within the trees, still with his cautious, trained style of movement, still hiding within the foliage. But he'll follow the river, probably in Elven, mumbling to himself, thinking through his thoughts, calming himself.
You find a few more of these sigils that have like given away the existence of at least one unicorn in these lands. And as you follow upstream of the river, you see a few more of them.
Seeing them, being reminded of the existence of these unicorns, I think, will determine his thinking and his pathing, as he believes that he came here for a reason. He might be able to gain some sort of guidance from or help. He might not. But whatever it is, he still has to go through with it.
Do you look for anything specific?
I think his plan is to either maybe starting with the river, or just trying to get to an area where the concentration of these sigils increases. So essentially following the river, and if the river starts bending away and the sigils start going away, he'll have to change movement. But for now, he'll just follow the river and see if that helps.
There doesn't seem to be like anything, and also like you thinking about unicorns, they're not really intrinsically linked to rivers. So, if anything, you would think a unicorn would most likely be found in a grazing spot. They are herbivores, so they will need like a place where they can find good food, and the elven forests are full of good spots for food. But even there, they most likely like would have their homeland or their nest or whatever you want to call it on like a nice glade with some water and luscious grass and nice bushes.
Okay. Yeah, I think Reuven's general plan is to just take in the direction of these sigils, or like just the concentration of them, and start moving through the forest, searching for such a place. He's not worried about time, so he's fully okay taking more than a day or multiple days here. I believe, waiting out this storm. So we think we'll come.
Give me a ranger check. The 20 plus level.
23.
You know, you've been like walking through this forest a bit. You've seen the forest from a distance. You know that it's a bit hilly, right? There's like hills in these forests, and you following this river for a bit. You notice that the river is clearly running through a valley between hills, and most likely a nice secluded area would be in a valley, but probably not in the valley the river is running. So getting to the other side of one of these hills, or maybe on the other side of the river over that hill, looking for a different valley might be the way to go here.
I think he follows his instinct and will start climbing over hills.
Yeah. You look for a nice spot where you can climb over, and give me a d20.
A 7.
A 7. And as you cross over, like you climb up the side of the hill a bit, and like then walk around. There's a natural path that you're following here. As you notice, a bit late because you already hear the snorking going on, that you're following the trail of a group of wild pigs. And as you notice them at the moment you hear like the snoring in front of you, where there are like 4 large boars that are ruffling in the ground. And as you see them, one of them like turns around, looks in your direction. It's probably not seeing you, you know, you are kind of like hidden into the woods, but it clearly hasn't noticed something, and snorks in your direction and starts like chafing the ground and like sniffing.
Reuven sees no inherent point to fighting these creatures. So I think he'll take this as an opportunity to fully back off and just hope that the creature does not charge at him.
And the creature, as you like back off, you step out like from standing next to the tree that you've been kind of hidden in, like back, taking a few steps back, which makes you appear in front of the boar for the boar to notice you, and it starts like, and then starts like chafing again, and then starts running in your direction.
Okay. The first thing he'll try to do is running into the forest to try to just get him off his back.
You run away.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Reuven does. I don't think Reuven has any large ego problems in that sense. So this creature
give me
angered him.
Give me a d10. The boar rolled a 1 on his initiative. It is chasing you.
Rolling a d10. I also rolled a 1.
Nice. You probably get to you run away as the boar starts chasing you. You run up the hill, down the hill, along the path.
Probably up the hill.
All right. You jump off the path that the boars have made in front of you, jump up and quickly, like nimbly as you are, grab a few branches of a tree and pull yourself up the mountainside. The boar is like has a very low center of gravity, so in theory he's probably going to be very adept on climbing up this hillside, but it seems to be very pleased with the fact that it has driven you off. And as you jump up the hill and run away, the boar behind you like stops and oinks a bit more, and then turns around and goes back to his friends, probably. You quickly lose sight of them. Well, you climb up the hill, away from the boars, and after 10 minutes or so, you start like going in circles again because like going straight up the hill in a forest, it's very it's rough terrain, right? So it's not something you want to do. And you zigzag along a bit, and well, shortly after being driven away by a boar, you arrive on like this hilltop where you can see like, oh, there's like it goes up a bit more, and then it stops going up, and you can see like it's rolling a bit. There's a few more high points, but there's no more clear direction of up from here. And you can basically go anywhere from here. You came from like the northeastish part of this hill that you're on, and the voice your oyster. Considering the layout where the river is probably heading like around the north. You came from the northwestish side of the hill, and the river is probably running around the northeastern side of the hill.
I think Reuven will. Sorry if putting in my phone is bad. I think Reuven will mark out any valleys he sees from the side top, and will plan to move through each of them.
Yeah, I mean, you are on a hill. The hill probably ends in all sides, so there's probably a valley all the way around the hill. And most likely not on the southeast side, because that's going towards the mountains, so there's a higher chance of another hill heading there, or just the elevation generally being higher here. So unfortunately, behind the boars is probably your best spot, so you will have to circle around the boar area. Heading southward probably is your direction here.
Yeah, I think Reuven doesn't mind too much. He's happy to just enjoy the walk and the travel through this area. Being careful, but still just enjoying himself, I guess.
Give me a random perception check just to see if you spot like any interesting tracks or anything.
Okay, give me 1 second. Oh, I am here. Perception check. 21.
On point. All right. Yeah, you're like walking through the forest here. You look around a bit, and you come across a very interesting thing. It is the what are they called in English? One of the spines of a porcupine's back, or a few of them.
Interesting. Does it seem like they're sleeping porcupines? I'll take a closer look at it to see if it's anything interesting.
No, it's just like stuck in a tree. Maybe the porcupine has like scratched his back here, or.
Oh, that's one of the like. Yeah, one of the individual shards.
Yeah, a few of them like stuck in the side of a tree, which is like, oh, interesting. Didn't expect porcupines here, but well, clearly they are. Unless there's some weird magic hybrid porcupine that is like lurking around these forests. Looks rather normal. Maybe a bit large, but all creatures here seem to be a bit on the large side.
Yeah, I think he takes this as an interest, or a slight interest. Yeah. He might even take one of them, but he'll continue on.
You continue. and as you cross over the hill to the heading down the hill again, zigzagging again, you head into this valley between this hill here and then the next hill to the southwest of you. There's no river running here, although you see like a small stream, as you've seen a few of them running through the forest. On your way out of the forest, you must have jumped a handful of streams.
Okay.
It's like 3 feet wide on its widest point where you come across here. And you can leap over to the other side or follow it as you wish.
I think this seems like a perfect area where he might find what he's looking for, so he'll take a investigation of this area and take a good look here.
Alright. Give me another d20.
Okay. D20. Natural 20.
Natural 20. As you like follow this like stream for a bit, you come across a peculiar set of tracks on the ground.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He'll definitely investigate this. This is an area that he has interest in, so any tracks he'll definitely look at.
Yeah. They are hoof prints, but they are very shallow. Which, you are on this like lush, very saturated forest ground. You're not leaving behind particularly deep tracks, but you're an elf, right? But any creatures, like any normal creature on this ground, would like sink in quite a bit. It should be quite noticeable. How you missed the tracks of the boars before, no idea, but you're probably too preoccupied with something else. But these prints, they are visible, but you're a 11th level ranger, right? So your tracking is off the charts here. So that you spot them does not really mean that most other people or whatever would notice these tracks here, but you do. Like judging from the size and the general shape, it's like hoof prints of a generally must be like horse-sized creature or cow-sized. But a cow or a horse would leave way deeper prints here.
Interesting. I think Ruven takes this as an encouraging sign and will attempt to follow them.
Give me a tracking check.
Okay. Shall I just roll a d20? And
yeah, don't roll a 1.
A 4.
A 4, alright. This is a forest. These tracks aren't that old, so that's not a problem. You see the direction that they're heading. They are heading away from the stream, deeper into the forest.
He'll probably take that as... He'll follow them where they are going, but he'll leave a marker here to see where the start is, to maybe, if possibly, come back and try the other way as well.
Yeah, you see, like, they came, like, you look at the part where you are at the moment, they, like, walked along the stream for a bit. You can see, like, at least, like, for the next 30 feet or so, you can see, like, the slight imprints, and then stopped here, or, like, came around here, and then turned and walked into the forest. Yeah.
That's perfect, yeah. We'll follow that into the forest.
Yeah, you follow into the forest. It goes along, as I said, you jumped over the stream, so you're on the other side of the stream from where you came. And it, like, goes along the hillside here for a bit, like, goes away from the stream into the forest, um, coming across another handful of these porcupine spikes. You don't see porcupine footprints, but then again, porcupine's not that heavy of a creature, right? And you can follow them, and you come across another one of these unicorn sigils, which seems to be quite recent.
Hmm.
And
It
as you
talks with it slightly and full. Take a good look at it before following again.
and as you continue walking, you come to this weird area that kind of seems almost planned. You notice that that there's almost a path where the footprints become almost unreadable because there are many footprints.
Interesting. Stopping here, so probably, or pretty much jumping out of the elven invisibility, he turns to Kitty and tells her, "We'll be going into this is a area of someone's territory, so we should be respectful." And then, with Kitty by his side, this time not probably invisible, will take steps inward. Treating this similarly to as he would approach the Dryad Grove in Lowberry Forest. I'll move on roll 20 if that. As he slowly takes steps, prodding his head, looking around constantly.
As you slightly walk forward, you notice like this small drizzle of a small stream like in front of you, and then you also notice like these flowers that seem a bit out of place, like growing like around these trees here, and a surprisingly large amount of open air. The trees are like further away from each other than they would usually probably be. Seems to be a extraordinary place that you have stumbled into.
Reuben probably takes off his hood at this point, if it was still on, shuffles his hair, takes a big breath in, looking around, and I think we'll take a few more steps in, turning again to look, and he'll probably at this point take a final step here and do a just fully facing this like general like the center of this grove-esque area, and doing a quite deep elven bow, will say out loud in elven, Reuven Windra of the elves greets the owner of this land.
Give me a perception check.
Okay. Natural 1. maybe a little bit of
You
excitement.
hear
or-
like the
Yeah.
blood rushing in your ears as you try to pick up anything, but no, there's no response.
He finishes his bow and straightens up again, and with a few more cautious steps, goes forward to here, and maybe and kneels down to these flowers, taking interest in them. Are they magical or seemingly otherworldly to things he hasn't seen before, or are they?
You definitely have not seen them at any other place in the forest.
Okay. I think he will examine and slightly caress these flowers as he sees them. After a few minutes of standing here, we'll move to some other flowers, and we'll look at them again, and we'll eventually go to this middle stream. And
As you step around this tree, you see standing on the other side of the stream, looking at you, this large horse. It's white, has like this ivory mane, ivory tail, and this must be like foot-long horn on his head.
Reuben freezes for a moment as he needs to catch his mind, his breath. But if there is no immediate reaction on the horse's part, he slightly lowers himself and even putting a knee to the ground, maybe, will bow.
You hear like a horse sound coming from the other side. It's just standing there, looking at you.
He stays there and frozen for a moment, slightly indecisive, but comforts himself, saying in his mind, I've already come this far. I kind of forced my party to do a different route just so I could try this weird gamble of finding this place, so he can't back out now. And he'll slowly stand up again and move slightly closer to get within talking distance.
As you approach like the side of the stream, the horse does another horse sound and like stomps his right front foot on the ground.
He'll take that as a signal to stop. And stop there.
As you stop there, creature takes like a few steps forward, like ending on this slightly elevated point here. You can see like its dark blue eyes looking in your direction. It's clearly considering what to think about you here.
I think he'll again just slightly drop his head and say in Elven, I apologize for coming here unnoticed or without a.
Yeah. You're like in the middle of your speech as the creature like turns around and like takes a few steps back, like walking over to the side of the trees here and plumping down on the ground here, like eyeing in your direction, but it's like lays back down on the ground. As Kitty from like behind you says, Horsey sad. Why Horsey sad? Horsey want food? I sometimes said.
Can you tell why they are sad?
Kitty takes a few steps forward, like hops over the river, plops down here, takes a few more steps forward.
Reuben's pretty confident that Kitty and they are not enemies, so he'll let this happen.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want to make any problems by going forward himself, so...
Kitty approaches the horse that lies on the ground and then like starts like slightly licking the probably unicorn. That must be a unicorn, right?
Most likely
a large horn, yeah. Starts licking the unicorn a bit and like boinking it a bit with its head. And then like as the unicorn doesn't seem to mind, like crawls up on the back of the unicorn and like just sits down and like makes herself comfortable.
After like a minute, Reuben himself will slowly start moving closer himself.
Mm-hmm.
And will try to jump or maybe just wade across the...
Mm-hmm.
And I guess move through here.
Mm-hmm. Unicorns staring intently in your direction. But it's not moving, it's not like running away, it's not pointing its horn in your direction, so it does not seem to be threatened or threatening.
Mm-hmm.
If it were a normal horse, you would be pretty certain that you could approach without getting bitten.
Got it. Okay. He'll do the move most polite way he can.
Mm-hmm.
Going right up front. Maybe not getting quite within like this and like sitting down, probably cross-legged.
And Kitty says, Horsey sad, Horsey alone.
Reuben, somewhat maybe even shocked by this revelation, will take one more step forward and also can almost join them, sitting close to them.
But Horsey not hungry. Horsey have good food, I think.
That's good. But you said they don't have friends? They're alone?
What friends?
Companions. Like us. Or family. it's sad because of it?
I don't know. Was he alone?
Hmm.
I know speak horse.
Reuben will very gently, but you feel that the horse is sad.
Was he sad? Thinking sad things. Thinking alone things. I brush Horsey and still sad.
Hmm.
Now
Then it
cuddle
must
Horsey.
be. Then it must be very sad. And I think at this point, Reuben will very slowly and carefully also go forward and give the horsey a pat.
It kind of ignores you touching it. Kind of almost looking a bit defeated, just like plops his head down on its front legs, looking past you into the forest.
Reuben won't do any drastic movements or things for a while. He'll essentially want to first just get comfortable and have the unicorn be comfortable with his presence. So he'll just chill with it and Kitty for like a while.
Yeah. By now, it's probably getting towards evening. It's dusk has set in. It's getting darker. You've been gone from your party for almost the entire day. If you start running in that direction now, you probably will make it by nightfall, but not guaranteed.
Yeah. Do I see birds
Yeah.
in the area?
This is apart from the sad unicorn, a surprisingly lively area. It has like butterflies that you see that are sitting on these interesting looking flowers. There's a bunch of birds picking fruits off the trees here, just flocking around. There's even like some small critters that are coming to the stream here, drinking.
Okay. Well, he will assume that his party members are okay with him being away for a while, but just in case, he will try to leave them a message. He remembers where generally the cave should be, correct?
Probably.
He hopes. And what he'll attempt to do is on one of these surrounding birds, cast the spell Messenger, which means it'll fly up to him and he'll take a. You have to leave some sort of message. So if possible, he'll find some like a broken piece of wood, like a piece of bark, and scribble down in Elven. I guess he can't speak any other language, so he'll have to scribble down. Reuben, okay. In a piece of bark. I don't think he has too much room. So he scribbles Reuben, okay, on a piece of bark, and we'll let a bird bring it to the owlbear cave.
Might work, might not work, you know.
Yeah.
There's different outcomes to this.
he believes the party trusts him, and he trusts in the party. And we agreed we'll wait out the storm, so he believes he has time.
Speaking of the storm, can you roll me a d21?
Okay. The 21, an 11.
Yeah. You cast your messenger spell and the bird flies away. You're still sitting here with the unicorn. Kitty's still like crawled up on the back of the unicorn, just like sprawled backwards, all fours stretched away. Looks like cat comfortable, right?
Yeah. This probably won't work, but he will try it just in case. He still has a second level spell slot, so he'll try a speak with animals spell as well on a unicorn. But I'm not confident it'll work.
Speak with animal. Any warm or cold-blooded, normal or giant animal?
Yeah.
Now that puts us in a very interesting quandary.
It does say maybe a speak with monster spell is instead will be needed. Or something like this. But I'm not sure. Ruben still tries it.
Are unicorns magical?
A good question.
Sure. You cast your spell.
I think all he'll say, just again putting a hand on like, not quite on its face, but on its side, and say, I'm sorry you're feeling like this.
A horse makes a horse sound.
Is there anything I can do to help you? He stands there, waiting, I guess.
The unicorn, like, as you ask it this question, like, turns and looks at you, and then says in Elven, I don't know, can you?
He is slightly surprised for a moment, but I guess not too. I would like to try.
I'm alone in this place.
Reuben lowers his head. Still probably like moving his hand through in a calming fashion through the unicorn's fur. I'm sorry. It must be tough.
Hundreds of years just roaming. I kept my forest safe, but I yearn for others of my kind. So, can you help me?
He thinks for a moment, blinks. Would you be if you had to leave your forest for others, would you do that?
There is no other forests here. I've traveled in all directions. Nothing. I would leave in a heartbeat if there were a place to go.
Reuben breathes in deeply. A slight frown on his face, but I do not come from here. I traveled here through on the water for many days. On my island, we have I come from a large forest. The reason I knew to find this place is I've learned about the runes your kind make.
The unicorn has put his head back down, looking into the distance.
Reuben I think lowers his head slightly and just towards the direction of the unicorn says, if that is what you desire, to find more of your kind, I would like to try to do my best to help you get back, or to help you get there. And as he mutters that, I think he'll not turn away, but more or less end the conversation as he sits down somewhere besides Kitty and the unicorn and will sleep through the night. Yeah.
It takes a few minutes as you're like sitting back down after you've spoken your last sentence. As the unicorn says, I'd like that. continues staring in the distance. Yeah, you put down your bedroll. Do you have one?
I don't think so. Yeah, we usually have it on our bag, so
Mhm.
he'll have to make do with
Yeah,
plant covered.
you're like, I mean, the unicorn has picked this place for a reason. There's like a overhang of trees here, which would probably block most of the rain. And yeah, it's a nice spot. You hear the drizzle of the stream. The sounds of the birds slowly come to an end. And you hear the sound of the night forest as you fall asleep next to the unicorn.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he's not afraid of being stabbed in the night, so
Mm-hmm. How many um, how many dangerous things can be in this forest, right?
probably that many. Not that many. Yeah.
Yeah. So as you lay down and go to sleep, you sink away into dreams. Do you dream something?
That is an interesting question.
Has Reuven dreamt in the last months? Or are your dreams haunted by memories of the time spent in this suspended, almost sleep-like state that you've been in for maybe decades? Do you even like to sleep anymore?
It probably gives him mixed feelings. But it's not like he can choose not to sleep, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So,
Do you wake up in the night when the dreams haunt you? Or is Reuven fine with what happened, what he did? Was it worth it?
oh. Here you mean the slaughter of the owlbears?
Everything. You have given away time of your life. You did things that are against your people, against your own ideals at points.
Yeah.
You done things you thought were right, which ended up coming back to haunt you. You did things that you thought were wrong, which might come back to haunt you, might haunt you, might have been the right decision at the end. Life was easy as a ranger in the elven forests. It definitely is no longer easy.
Definitely. I think yeah. Many dreams come to him. But it's almost in a surreal way. He doesn't quite have nightmares, but not. He doesn't quite dream, but he doesn't also sit quietly in nothing. I think it's a surreal, different kind of existence for him that does just make him remember everything that's happened, all the choices he has made, everything he's put himself through, really. Everything that really goes back to him leaving himself. He at points has wanted to or might want to say that all of this has happened to him and how bad it is, but in the end, deep inside, he feels that everything that happened is from his own choices. He stepped out of those woods. He told his parents to not quite go fuck themselves, but he said he was leaving. He said he wanted to go fight some goblins. He said he'll find some unruly humans to party up with. See how that goes. He himself chose to go into the vibrant dream and experience all that. And he chose to come here with his friends.
Can you roll me a d20?
Rolling 1d20. A 16.
As you have these thoughts as you go to sleep, these thoughts that have been following you for a long time, and now here you are next to this majestic creature. You've never seen a unicorn in your life. You know they exist, and it is plagued with this sadness, making you reconsider your life choices a bit. And as you fall asleep, you have this apparition in one of your dreams with this land that looks somewhat like the vibrant dream, and standing in this very clear space in the vibrant dream. Like your memory of the vibrant dream is vast areas that are like not that well defined, and there's this small humanoid figure standing on a plot of land that is perfectly clear, looking at you.
Ruben looks back.
Has these vibrant colors to it, like everything around this, whatever that might be, is, as I said, it is surprisingly clear and surprisingly colorful. It has like these shimmering greens, dark violets, bright, not what we think of pink, but like bright pinkish colors. There's some flowers attached to its clothing that have like very ornate blooms. And then it goes by.
As it goes by, Ruben reaction will probably be, I want that. He wants to go closer to it, but I assume it fizzles as he.
By the time you focus on it, by the time you realize that you are being watched by this creature, the apparition in your dream fades away. But it leaves you with a good feeling. It was a positive interest that you've been noticed with. At least you think that.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, this is what you wake up with, right? You wake up with this feeling. Wait, there was this part of the dream, it echoes in your mind. It's hard to focus on it, as it is with dreams from time to time. But the feeling that comes with the dream is a good feeling. As you wake up the next morning, the world is still intact.
He sighs, breathing in, taking in the air. He is conscious once more. Did he sleep? Does he feel well rested?
Yeah. You woke up. It's dawn, so you must have slept for 10 hours or so, with no interruption.
Is he probably, as he closes his eyes for a moment and sighs and breathes in and out, calming himself, maybe using some of that positive feeling and suppressing some of those anxieties and stresses quite often present in his mind, those fears. He'll open his eyes again and see. Does he see the unicorn again?
Oh yeah, it is still there next to you on the ground. Kitty is lying on your lap at the moment. That must have moved over in the night.
He I think stands or will stay there in a daze for quite a while, just waking up in the morning, just taking a very, very relaxing morning, not thinking about anything, just letting emotions wash away from him.
Yeah, as you sit around and look into the distance, you can. Now the unicorn starts waking up, walking around, going to drink something, comes back, sits back down. You occasionally hear the echo of thunder rolling over the forest, looking back to the volcano. It still has this large cloud above it, but it does not seem to be changed much since yesterday. And about 2 or 3 hours after you wake up, the unicorn will do some horse noises and then say, I hope we meet again, and then starts walking away.
He lowers his head in a bow towards it. I hope so too.
Unicorn jumps over the stream and then disappears northwards out of this glade. If you want to stalk it, you can.
I think he just watches it leave. Again, it's just sitting down and pressing his back against something. He just takes a moment to just be with his own thoughts. Looking to Kitty, kind of absent-mindedly saying, well, I'm not sure what we've gained from that, but I think we've learned what makes them unhappy. Though I guess
we help Sad Horsey.
a little bit.
Make Sad Horsey happy.
I think if we brought the sad horsey back home, I think sad horsey would be really happy.
No, there are no Sad Horsey home.
Yes, be a happy horsey.
No, there's... no, never see Sad Horsey. Only Sad Horsey I ever see. So no Sad Horsey home. I not know where Sad Horsey.
Maybe then my home. Do you remember my home?
Big forest. Big
Yes.
tree land. Yes.
I think
There's more Sad Horsey in Big Tree Land.
I think so. Yes.
Then bring Sad Horsey to Big Tree Land. Not home. Better idea.
Yes. It is a better idea.
But Sad Horsey also big. Cannot put in backpack.
That's true. We'll have to figure out how to get them back. I think Reuven stands up, just stares up into the skyline, into the distant trees.
Give
I guess
me
I
a
hope.
perception check.
Okay.
Oh, no, give me a wisdom check.
A wisdom check. All right. This plus this. At 29.
As you stare into the distance over the trees, you have a bit of a peculiar feeling. And as you look back from the top of the trees, you imagine that Kitty is looking at you a bit strange. But as you look at Kitty, it's like gone.
We'll probably straight up ask Kitty. Is everything okay, my companion?
Sad Horsey is sad. not okay.
I guess that's true.
But I hungry. Can go catch bird something.
Yeah. Let's go together.
But you
Hunt
not
together.
good hunter. I good hunter.
I'll follow you.
Okay, jumps up and disappears into the trees behind the behind this like where the unicorn was sleeping,
Mhm.
which is
And
a
I think
bit thick, bit dense. It's gonna be quite awkward for you to get in there, but you can do it.
yeah, he tries.
Slightly stomping into the forest. You follow Kitty, and watch Kitty as she like slowly but surely stalks down a probably a bird, maybe a gopher, and starts snacking, offering you a piece of gopher meat.
He'll probably find himself some other things to eat. Just naturally foraging. But he
Okay.
thanks them nonetheless.
Give me a survival check. What's your roll for survival?
Ooh, let's. Ooh, I do not have that written down. Let's see.
You have
Little goblin.
survival proficiency.
Forest. Yeah, that's. It's not the same thing as survival, or like
Yeah, yeah.
it's not
It's
called the
FD.
same thing, but it's the same thing that rangers get. Like I think we rangers just get one. We get like the same thing as survival proficiency, but we just learn them easier than other classes. But yeah, I have survival forestry for survival for forest.
Which is perfect for you.
Let's see. Where is non-proficiencies table? That's descriptions. Survival. Let's see. It might be there's no even roll needed if I'm just feeding myself. S. Sage knowledge. Seamanship. Survival. Blah, blah, blah. Each day.
Just to roll a check.
Yeah. I'll just roll a d20. 11.
11.
That's my wisdom good. Even with my deception, that's good.
Survival.
Survival.
Is just plain wisdom. Okay.
Yeah, that's a 25 then.
Fair. Yeah. Give me a D2.
D2. We haven't. I think a 1. That's perfect. Just
Find
enough
enough
for me.
food for a day. No problem. Yeah. You also regained your spell slot, so if you needed to bury it up or anything, not a problem.
Yeah. Does he find good? Does he find just normal berries here, for future reference?
Yeah. In this tree, in this forest area, there is normal berries.
Perfect. Okay.
I mean, you don't even have to find like edible berries, right? Because good berry just changes any fresh berries into good berries.
Yeah. So he remembers that if needed, we'll have berries here. And I think really, just the hours this takes and hunting with Kitty, feeling like he didn't quite come he didn't quite gain the inspiration or guidance he was looking for, but he also feels like he did gain something. He just doesn't know what it is.
Mm-hmm. Did you get a new thing to do?
He did gain a new thing to do. A new quest has been bringed. Though he believes it, finding a way to get a unicorn back home, that's definitely something he can't do alone.
Mm-hmm.
That is something he'll have to gain the help of the party with.
You know, if only Nia was with you.
He's, yeah. Though he's not even sure how teleportation stuff works here. Magic's all sorts of weird here.
Ah, that is true, yeah.
But I think, yeah, he takes like a good part of the day. So probably I think together with his early, very late morning, probably half a day is quite a bit of the day has passed if he finally finishes hunting with Kitty. Bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's like early afternoon as you consider doing something else. You've been enjoying your time in the forest, you know? It's been interesting. It has been a while since you've been in a forest. You've been in like spooky, different plane areas. Stuck in a magic-filled cave for a week. Traveling over these mountains that are mostly empty and barren. And here this is a lively forest. That's where things feel great. And it even kind of, I mean, it's not back home, but it at least feels similar.
Yeah, I think as things stand, he hasn't had a nice like calm moment in the terrain he really feels comfortable in a very long time. As the last time he left his homelands, that was when he just had the confrontation of sorts with the high wizard or the grand wizard person, having left with a very foul taste in his mouth from that interaction, feeling a bit defeated or almost betrayed, then running all the way to his party, killing a vampire, and then immediately going on a boat for a week. All of which have not been the very pleasant things.
And now you're here on this remote island where things seem to be completely out of order.
Yes.
And to make it even more out of order, you've traveled in a probably the weirdest place you have been in. Probably even, to you at least, is probably even weirder than the Vibrant Dream. Although you still, at least your memory seems to be intact.
A place that seemed very scary, yes. So taking all that in is a lot. So it takes Ruben a while to just calm down and really unpack some of it. Just being by himself in the place he like feels comfortable in.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think he feels as though he still doesn't have a concrete answer to all those questions.
Mm-hmm.
Those the large door that stands in his way that are goblins and all that encompasses. But I think he doesn't feel as bad as he did a few days ago.
Mm-hmm. So despite everything being stacked against you, the people back home kind of stabbed you in the back, sent you on a quest to deal with something that has nothing to do with you. And you get in this emotional turmoil with the vampire, leaving the vampire with a to-be-murdered child.
Yeah.
Get kicked to this island. And then when you finally find a place on this island that seems like at least somewhat nice, you immediately get thrown into murdering baby animals. And the next thing you stumble across is a depressed unicorn. This is like, I mean, someone could say the world is really trying to kick you. But Reuven seems to be cool with that. Challenge accepted.
Indeed. That does seem the state of things right now. I think that's not quite how Reuven might see it, but from a top-down perspective of that we might be able to see it. That is true. For Reuven, he just has to go forward. He has no other choice. This is how it's always been.
Well, forward is into the swampland.
That is very true. That is...
So the question remains, do you head back to your party? The volcano seems to be stable at the moment. Or do you go back to swampland and try to find out more things before returning?
That is a good question. He does believe that we'll probably stay here for a while. As I turn to gaze, he turns to gaze at the mountain again. Is the storm worse than it was the day before?
About the same.
Okay.
You
But
see like the occasional lightning against the black clouds, the occasional rumbling of thunder rolling over the land, but...
And that wasn't... When we were traveling through like more the southern part of the island after the storm, there was no lightning and storm, right?
No, there was no cloud. The cloud has been appearing like a few days ago.
So he's quite confident that means there's going to be one of those storms again. Or at least there might be.
Yeah, and at least that is what happened the last time before the eruption happened, yeah.
Which is weird because they said it'll only happen a couple times a year. But we've only been here for a couple of weeks. And it's already happened the second time. So are we unlucky or is there something else afoot?
Good question.
I think he might just take some time here to go back to the border there of the swampy land and the forest area, and just literally take some like multiple hours of just watching to see and mark down any creatures he sees.
Do you only watch during the light, or do you watch in the night as well? How long do you
I
want to
think-
stay?
There's no point in watching during the night because he doesn't have. Seeing 60 foot into the darkness isn't good enough, I think. So. Because the current stars are not very bright.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is true.
So he'll just stay for the day.
Mm-hmm.
I'll see if there's any
Yeah.
spells. he
Which
might-
side of the do you go north or east?
Ooh,
West.
I think he'll go somewhere in the middle of them.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So yeah.
So you can like overlook more of the area. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Alright. Give me a perception check.
Let's roll it. 14. Bad failure.
14. That is obviously not the greatest roll in the world. And with that roll, you see nothing. I mean, you see like some random creatures croaking around, but nothing that like sticks out. You see like a few birds. Like birds with long legs stomping through the swamp a bit. They don't seem particularly dangerous.
Okay. He tries his best to memorize or try to find connections in what type of creatures there could be and what kind of dangers there could be based on like the ways creatures move. But I assume he's having a bit of a difficulty doing it.
Yeah. Are you like? I mean, these birds are interesting to look at, right? They have like these long legs. They're like 2 feet long.
Yeah.
And then like stomping through the swamp. Then they occasionally like making like these large circles with their wings, and then fishing fish out of the water. But they seem generally just to be birds. You don't expect them to start murdering you once you get close to them. Yeah.
One thing that's quite. Does he. This might be a bit of a stretch of these spells, but we like to stretch some spells here. So, do I see? I see kind of the very edge of the swamp, the like the water coming through. Actually, that doesn't even need to be that far. I think he'll. An idea he has is to cast a messenger spell on one of those birds and have the bird go the maximum range of his animal eye spell, which is, let's see, 100 yards. Okay, so not too far.
The major problem that very quickly comes to mind is that these birds are not tiny.
Ooh, that's true. Let's see, messenger, tiny bird. Yeah, a tiny creature of at least animal intelligence. So instead, he'll have to find another creature that could do this. Does he see any of the creatures that these kind of large birds eat, or seemingly are looking for? Does he see any frogs or maybe snake type creatures?
You would have to get closer, which means walking into the swamp area. You see them like 200 yards away from you, so.
I think he is willing to take the risk, but he'll leave Kitty at the forest area.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And he will take her. He'll also want to test something out in one of the like closest pools to the forest.
Mm-hmm.
He is wearing the ring of free action,
Mm-hmm.
and he wants to see how moving through one of these puddles and this area with a ring of free action looks like.
It works surprisingly well here.
Mm-hmm.
But give me a d20.
Okay. A 6.
A 6. Yeah, the water seems not to be obstructing you with like wading through it as you're like 2 feet into a puddle. Obviously everything is wet, but that's just what happens, right?
Yeah.
And you're also not getting stuck in the swamp ground. Maybe that is because the swamp isn't, the ground isn't too, what's the name, too deep or too swampy.
Okay.
But as you like walk into the swamp land a bit and continue onward.
Yeah. His plan is to stay within a short distance of the forest, but he is going in, yeah.
Yeah, you've stepped into the water. You're trying to check out the water, right? What does that mean? Yeah. You wade through the water. It goes surprisingly well, and then what's your plan? Why you walk into the water?
He just goes to the nearest like pool and just walks around it to test how movement through the rest of the swamp would be.
Uh-huh.
And after that, also nearest to this pool as he can, so nearest to the forest as he can, we'll try to find like a swampy tiny creature.
Mm-hmm.
So he first has to see what kind of tiny creature exists here. And
Can
we'll
roll me
choose
a
one.
perception check.
Okay. Perception 19 failure.
19 failure. Can you please take 50 points of damage?
Yeah. Okay.
As you notice getting weak, and as you step out of the swamp area looking for tiny creatures around you, you notice that attached to your legs are 2 large worm-like things. They are like really long. They're like a 1.5 feet long or 2 feet long, and they have attached themselves to your legs.
Okay. And where am I at this moment?
You just stepped out of the water onto like one of these land bridges.
Okay. I would like to cut them off me.
Sure. That's not a problem. You swing, you grab your sword and like just hack at them. Don't even need to roll for damage. You hack at the worms. One swipe cuts them in half. The second swipe cuts the other one in half, and then you can like rip the head that is attached to your leg off your leg, and you see like these large bite wounds in your leg that, as you look at them, they look gross and like seeping, but you don't feel any pain.
But I feel extremely weakened.
Yeah, you feel like weak. As I said, you took 50 points of damage.
Yeah, 50 points of damage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay. He will first stand in that area and just wait for like a minute to see if he takes any more damage.
No. No more damage.
Okay. And does he see any routes back to that area without?
Out here, not a problem. I mean, you specifically walked into the pool, so you can walk around the pool.
Okay. He is moving back.
Yeah.
Not through there.
Yeah. Can you also roll me 2d20s?
Okay. Another idea, the idea I just had that I think he takes, depending on how far do you think I've gotten, but he casts a spell on himself as he moves forward or moves backward. He'll cast a invisibility from animal spell on himself.
Sure. As you like, you can follow like this land bridge back to the edge of the forest, like out of the. I mean, you're still in the swampy land here, but you don't have to walk through the puddle if you don't want to. It's not that much of an issue out here. You're still at the edge of the swamp. Deeper in, as you look like into the swampland, there might be spots where you have to go through the water, where it might be unavoidable. But at least here you can still like travel from here over. Like there's like 200 yards away, 300 yards away, there's like this small like island structure with a few trees on it, where you can make out a path through the swamp to get there.
Okay.
And then probably from there you can like find another type of path, or at least not deep water.
Okay.
Yeah.
He very surprised by these creatures. These creatures seem weird. He's a bit shook.
Can you also give me a d4?
Okay. But he is moving towards Kitty.
Yeah, not a problem. You make it there.
Okay. Just in case he'll move. Start moving pretty immediately. Quickly start moving into the forest and not look back. And well, I guess wait for a bit to see if there's any lasting effects from this great weakness. Are those bite attacks?
No.
Okay.
I mean, now they start itching. One a bit worse than the other, but it's not like you feel like you're still losing hit points.
Okay. Okay. Wow, he is surprised by that. I think he considered that there's some like enemy creatures in the like water, but he didn't at all consider. Like he probably hasn't seen leech type creatures before.
Nope.
At all. Yeah. So he didn't even have the thinking of such type creatures could exist. So he's a bit shook.
And they were large. Like one was at least 2 feet long. The other one was probably like 4 feet long. Now that you think about it.
Ooh. Okay. Like, and they were like long, black. Okay. Now he's thinking, damn, I should have taken one of those with me.
Yeah.
But he's too late.
Maybe.
Yeah. I think he was very much like shook and like, okay, I gotta leave. So he moves away and then sits down and waits like 10 minutes to see if any other effects attack him.
No.
Ooh.
As I said, takes you like half an hour or so. until like the wounds start itching a bit, as you would expect from a wound.
Well, I guess that puts his sending a messenger to take a look at stuff plan down the drain. But he did learn quite a valuable thing.
Don't step into the swamp water.
Yeah,
It's a valuable lesson.
yeah, it's a really valuable lesson. And just recalling the feeling of feeling that weakness. I don't think there's any way. There's probably no way I can, like, actually get this information. But did it feel like it didn't like take a portion of my like power, like blood? It like full on. It wasn't like an attack that took a percentage of my power, of my attack, of my HP. It was a straight up damage on my HP. I do I even have any way to tell that?
You have no idea.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't know. You just notice all of like. Now that you think about it, this was just like a point where you noticed that you're feeling a bit weak, but it's not like I did not feel weak, and then the next second I felt weak. It's more like I progressively got a bit more tiring to walk through the swamp, and then I made it up onto the land, and then I felt out of breath, and then I was taking a few more steps, and it was really hard. And thinking back now, that was just the point where you noticed that you are losing strength. You probably started losing strength way earlier.
Okay. Wow. Very interesting. Yeah. Reuven contemplates these creatures for a bit, and then it's like, okay, I have no ways to gain more information without going inside, and I'm not going out inside by myself. So I think he's gonna call that a day. And I think we'll plan to arrive back at the Owlbear Cave at the end of this day.
Yeah, should be doable. Yeah. Roll me a number D20. Don't roll a 1.
A 4.
A 4. Yeah, that's good enough. You make it back to the Owlbear Cave at night, finding the rest of your party.
Spectacular. Okay. That was more intense than I wanted it to be. But we love that.
Swamps and stuff.
Yeah. Reuven has learned a valuable lesson. Swamps be dangerous.
There's things that you did not expect.
Not at all.
But that's the fun part, right?
Yeah. I think in Reuven's slightly crazy mind, it does actually think that it's like, that was real insane and real scary and quite stupid, but it was a bit exciting.
And valuable, right? You're going into the swamp and you already know what to look for.
Yeah.
Careful in the water, check your legs, right?
He kind of feels pretty positive on the fact that if that had been Uzma, he thinks Uzma would be dead.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe not, but...
Well, amazing outcome at the end of the day. You found a unicorn, you found out a major danger in the swampland. You saw a very fancy new creature that you've never seen before with many heads.
Yeah.
That, now that you think about it, the creature did not give a single fuck about what is in the water. It's just stomping through there. But okay. Yeah. Fancy things going on.
Fancy things. Well. Thank you, DM, for this solo session.
Yeah.
Short solo session.
was interesting, and we have more interesting things to do next session.
Very
How to
much so.
convince your party to transport a unicorn.
That's gonna be interesting, eh?
That will be the interesting part. And also what lies in the swamp. What is the large eight-headed lizard creature? Adventure awaits.
Adventure. But
Rufin is like, despite all of the shit going on, like, surprisingly positive headspace at the moment, right?
I think so. Yeah.
You've just been half killed by 2 worms, and all you think is, cool. Now I know not to step in the water.
Yeah. Yeah.
Life-saving information gained.
It is an interesting way to look at it.
Mm-hmm. Amazing.
Amazing.
All right. I guess that ends today's session. Short Rufin solo session. And we will be back next week, I assume, on Saturday, normal time. I think. I hope nobody else has any problems with next week.
Yeah.
Because the interesting things are lying just around the corner, and I've prepared everything already. It's gonna be exciting.
Very exciting. I cannot we look more forward to it. Ooh.
All right. Have a nice weekend.
You too.
Rest. Good rest. Good restings. Good resterinos. And we will meet again next week. Until then,
thank you so much for the
alive.
session.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You
Thanks
too.
for playing. Bye bye.
Bye bye.